Thank you for clicking on this meditative teaching. Subscribe to receive weekly updates and healing transformational meditations. And for daily meditative teachings, find me on iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, and more under The Healing Room. You will hear a 30-second poetry piece, and then we will begin this teaching as you and I discuss the areas in your life that matter most to you.
My soul thirsts for you. Swimming on dry land, my skin scrapes, epidermis breaks, and I am but a scaled fish stuck in an earthly ditch, waiting for your rain to fall down and allow me to swim through this. I love that poem. Thank you for allowing me to share that with you. So, today's topic of discussion in the healing room is healthy communication. Healthy communication not only is something that we're going to take a look at as far as self-discovery within us, but also looking at what level of healthiness is found in the communication of those around us. And how can we take a little bit of time to do just a little bit of analysis to see if there are things that we can shift to make our communication with others a little bit healthier. This is going to be a deep dive in self-discovery. So let's just make a pledge together that we are going to go there without fear, without any inhibitions, without anything holding us back. We're going to go there, see what's there, and heal and elevate together. Can we make that pledge? This is the healing room, so it's a safe place to do that. I'm just going to hop right in and give you a little bit of examples of what we're going to be dealing with in regards to healthy communication, how our communication is a way in which we present ourselves to the world, and then who are we allowing to present us? Is it our best self or something else? Let me give you a couple examples. So this is the difference between I'm anxious, call me, period. Have you ever gotten a message like that? I'm anxious, call me, period. Or saying something like, hey, you want to grab coffee? I'd love to see you and could use your opinion on something. Because I'm anxious, call me is the individual needing some connection time, some quality time, reaching out to a friend that they think is probably soothing, is probably healthy. And then the second message, hey, you want to grab coffee? I'd love to see you and could use your opinion on something. That one is a little bit more balanced. That one, let's be honest, is a lot more balanced. I'm going to give you another example. This is something that's often said in relationships, in dating, in marriage, in all kinds of different facets of relationships. I can't live without you, and you were made for me, and you'll never get anybody else who'll want you besides me. Have you ever heard someone say something like that? Or have you ever experienced that? What would it look like for someone to say, instead of that, I love you and want to build a strong foundation with you because I think we both elevate each other's lives, and that's important to me. Do you see how those two are significantly different? And they create a different response. I'm gonna read that last one again because it just sounds better. I love you and want to build a stronger foundation with you because I think we both elevate each other's lives, and that's important to me. When someone says something like that to you, that means that they are a healthy communicator. And I love this subject because I've done so much research and analysis on this. My master's is in this. My life work is in communication, and it has everything to do with everything we touch: our relationships, our dating life, our roommates, our friends, our acquaintances, and how long they can last in a season of us and how we communicate with them. How much better can we communicate with people and display the love we have for them instead of our need, want, or desire in that particular moment? This was life-changing for me to really start not only looking at the words that come out of my own mouth and how I choose to communicate, but also truly taking people at their word and hearing the words that are coming out of their mouths and seeing if they were a healthy communicator or not, and then understanding how that may or may not be affecting our relationship. And 10 times out of 10, it is. By using the power of the spoken word, guys, we can shift our language to actually get more of what we want by not focusing on our needs in every moment. Can I talk about this? Let me go back to that subject line that I began with when I was talking about presenting ourselves to the world. How do we present ourselves to the world, and who do we allow to do the presenting? Deep down in us, we're either presenting from a need or presenting from a form of love. And people who are constantly presenting from an area of a need are what I like to call high needs individuals, where most of their communication is coming out of a high need. Now, look, really understanding this can take the roof off of a lot of back and forth with friends, family members, and spouses. Identifying when someone is coming from a need-based place and understanding that a lot of times their words are flipped. A lot of times when you're coming from a need-based place, you don't really say what you want or what you need. And if you are or are around a high needs individual, can I go there? It can be very draining. And you will find that in those situations, it's not only unhealthy for the person who is the high needs individual, it's unhealthy for those around that individual. Now, look, you're in this safe place. This is the healing room. We're all going to go there together. And let me just say, at one point or another in our lives, if you are at least 18 years of age or older, you have been a high needs individual. Now, let me give you this quote by Frank Lloyd Wright. You have to go wholeheartedly into anything in order to achieve anything worth having. You have to go wholeheartedly into anything in order to achieve anything worth having. I love that quote because look, how we communicate with people is the determining factor of how or if we will be received. Now, how does this affect relationships, meaning marriages, friendships, and all in between? When we identify that we are either coming from a need-based place or we are coming out of love when we communicate, and we choose the latter, we choose love, people feel more valued. People feel more prioritized. People feel you are healthy and balanced, which is very attractive. People feel that you're not trying to get something from them. Important. And people feel understood more than they feel rejected. You can't say yes to everyone, but if you can make people feel more understood, you become more valuable. Have you ever seen someone who just tends to attract a lot of friends? They have 30, 40, 50 people around them all the time, right? And you may be one of those people. If you are, you distinctly have understood the needs of individuals. And this is something I like to call a self-serving sacrifice. Needs are not negative. They're not bad, but we just can't operate out of our needs every day, all day as we communicate. So let me define self-serving sacrifice. A self-serving sacrifice is if you see an individual that you would like to engage with, whether it's a communication, a conversation, a date, whatever that is. If you see an individual that you would like to engage with, and you take a second to acknowledge what their need really is. Sometimes it's just easy as, can I just be real? Calling someone beautiful. Sometimes it's just as simple as giving someone the credit. If it's not something in relationships with your spouse, with your children, with those around you, sometimes it takes 30 seconds to really just take a breath and look at the individual, hear what they're saying, identify their need, and give them a self-serving sacrifice. Now, why do I like to call this self-serving sacrifice? Because this is a powerful tool in the spoken word that I would love for you to have. If you would like to engage with the individual, and it's nothing that's going to hurt you, right? You can't say yes to everything. You just can't do it. But if it's something that it doesn't really matter to you, really, but you can tell they need it. You just give it to them. And you give it to them knowing that they're going to be happier and healthier because of it. Now, hopefully this individual is not a high needs individual, because if you get yourself into the habit of feeding a high needs individual, you can drain yourself. But a need in general, we all have needs. And so a lot of times, right now, I'm talking about pretty balanced individuals. When your spouse or when your boss or when your coworker, your colleague or your friend all of a sudden is speaking to you out of a need, and a lot of needs really don't take anything from us. It's like, oh, she wants the credit for that. Well, you know what? It's not going to make or break me if I give her the credit for this, right? You're not giving away your work, but maybe you were only there 20 minutes and she was there an hour and she just really wants the credit and you just don't care. You just give it to her. You just give it to her through the power of the spoken word and say, you know what, Margaret? I appreciate how much you worked all day. I mean, you really ran this whole operation and you did it well. And before you know it, Margaret is calling you the next day, inviting you to such and such gala. She had one extra ticket, and who does she give? She gives it to the person who makes her feel the way she wants to feel. We all have needs. Look, friendships, how we attract friendships is literally the people in our lives who can fulfill a need at one point or another. That's how we make them. Now we keep them by giving and taking and giving and taking. But normally how you choose a friend, normally the friends that are in your circle are people who have given you something that you needed at a specific time. Whether that was this person is so encouraging, so they really infuse you. Or this person reminds you of yourself. And so, you know, if you call this person, you can always go out on a Friday night and really have a good time. These are people who are filling needs. So we all have needs, and needs are healthy. And if you're dealing with someone who comes to you in a relationship and there's a little bit of friction, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship, just take a breath. Figure out what their need is. And if it's something that won't kill you to do, make a self-serving sacrifice and see how much that will pay off for you. You will have your phone ringing off the hook to the point where you have to turn off your notifications, because a lot of people present themselves from their need. And very few of us take time to really see what others' needs are. And if it takes 30 seconds of using the power of the spoken word and just saying or giving over recognition or applauding or exalting or encouraging, and this is someone that you want to engage with long time, you will find your relationship so much more fruitful. Now, the power of words. Is there a relationship in your life that has gone sour or distant, or in the past where it was very argumentative? Let's look back at the friendships we had to let go. I bet you most of them can come down to healthy communication and how they're using their power of spoken words. Some of you may have had best friends that are no longer there. Some of you may have had spouses that are no longer there. Not only should we come from a place of love, but we have to figure out how to communicate our needs in a very healthy way. Now, to be honest, if you are in a very healthy, balanced place, it's best for you, while dating, while building friendships, it's best to communicate with as many healthy and balanced people as possible. But sometimes our friends or our loved ones just aren't there yet. Sometimes our spouses just aren't there yet. And sometimes we just aren't there yet. For some people, when they hear something they don't like, they just shut down. For some people, when a conflict arises, do they or do you find yourself having a dramatic ending, moving away, yelling, or instinctively trying to punish the other person? When someone needs something that they aren't getting, do they or do you have the confidence to outright, in a loving tone, just ask for it? Or are your desires found in subliminal messages as you wonder, why doesn't she know this? Or why doesn't he know this? Let me say that again. Are your desires found in subliminal messages as you wonder, Why doesn't he know this? Or why doesn't she know this? Is that you? We've all been there. And healthy communication coming out of a place of love instead of a place of need is life-changing. But look, we also have to figure out how to express our needs in a healthy way. My blog this week on mcwrites.com entitled, "How Do You Present Yourself to the World?" There's an example here that I'm just going to read out to you that I find to be a paramount shift everyone has to take as they grow and mature in their communication. This is just one example. Have you ever heard on television or in person someone say, "Where's my dinner? I thought you'd have dinner on the table by now." Let me repeat that statement to you. And just get, what feeling do you get from that? "Where's my dinner? I thought you'd have dinner on the table by now." Or instead of saying that, right? Because in this particular example, this woman that he's speaking to is his spouse, not his maid or his servant. And she hasn't signed any contracts that she cooks every night. She just cooks sometimes. So when he says those words, how do you think she receives them? Now, the flip example of this, someone who's not coming out of a need-based place, but is coming out of love, but chooses to just say what their need is in a loving way. It says, "When you cook for me," this is the example, "when you cook for me, it feels good because to me it means you care," right? So a man comes home after a long day and his wife is already there. And he says to her, "When you cook for me, it feels good because to me it means you care." That is such a healthy perspective. And look, we can't rewind the clock, but we have all had so many relationships that instead of just saying how we really felt and what our true need was, we lash out, we use anger, we use resentment, and we use punishment against those we love the most. It's not the healthiest way to do that. If you're a salesperson, "I'm the best and I'm going to change your business." Look, everybody may receive that statement in one way or another, but we all kind of get the same feeling where we're not truly believing that. But you could say something like, "Hey, look, I'm an expert in my field, but I don't proclaim to know everything. I'd like to earn your business." Just simple shifts coming from a place of love instead of a need-based place. Because when you're coming from a place of love, you're open to both giving and receiving. You're wise enough to give information about yourself while telling them in a truthful and honest way what you want. That's what healthy communication is about, y'all. And I just absolutely love this topic. Nelson Mandela has a quote that I believe is so relevant to this, and it's, "Lead from the back and let others believe they are in front." Lead from the back and let others believe they are in front. Sometimes we want to be the big boss. We want to be the woman who's running the house or the man who's running the house. And we're so caught up in our need to be something that comes from childhood, that comes from certain traumas. We're not going to go to that place today because all of these needs come from a very unique place, and you can do that self-discovery for yourself. But instead of just living there, when we come from a place of love, we actually get more of what we want, right? We get so much more of what we want. So let's talk about your last very strong desire. There was something in your life that you needed or that you wanted. Can you just think back to the last time? Maybe it was your coworker to come in on time, or maybe it was your spouse to stop leaving dishes in the sink overnight, or your roommate, or maybe it was something more intimate, like you'd like more quality time from someone, or you just don't feel your spouse, best friend, or loved one is truly concerned about what you're dealing with. The way you handled your last situation can help kind of determine where you are on the health balance with your spoken words. Can we just take a moment of self-discovery and just really think, what was the last time I really wanted something from someone and needed them to do something? And how did I really handle that? How did I speak to them? And some may have the thought, I'm really proud of myself for how I spoke to that person. And I hope through this discussion today in the healing room that you have a deeper understanding of why it felt good to present that desire or that need to them in the way that you did. I hope you have a deeper understanding of how to replicate that over and over again. And for those of you who are thinking about your last strong desire or need and how you communicated it to that person, and you're thinking maybe it didn't go so well, or you're thinking about something in the past that maybe the way you handled it and the words that you used, maybe you didn't even speak to them. Maybe you kept speaking to other friends and other acquaintances because you didn't feel that there was a safe space for you to communicate. And so it just created a completely unhealthy situation all around. Maybe you're in that place. That's okay. That's okay. We're all just going to take a deep breath together and know that we're healing and we're elevating right now. Knowledge is power. Mahatma Gandhi has a quote, "The future depends on what we do in the present." And we're all living here in the present, right here in the healing room together. And what we choose to do right now is most significant. We can all shift our language. Instead of being need-based communicators, we can speak from a place of love right now in the present. We can make those shifts between accusatory and reaction-based communicating to intelligently and lovingly responding. We don't have to live out of reactions. You are a healthy communicator, someone who shows up not with their needs presenting them to the world, but with their love. That doesn't mean we don't have needs. We just show up in a different way. I think we should all be poets, guys. This is really just a campaign to turn you into a spoken word poet. The healthy communication is so vital. It's so necessary. And can we all agree it can be a little life-changing? And I hope the healing room is a place where you get a little piece of that. That's all for now. I'm MC Melissa Klein and truly believe that you are in the right place at the right time.